I'm going to try something a little different today. I'm going to recommend a study to you. I'll talk about it for just a minute, but let me tell you what it is. The first epistle of John, in 1 John, in chapter 1, beginning in verse 3, says, "That which we have seen and heard declare we unto you, that ye also may have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son, Jesus Christ. And these things write we unto you, that your joy may be full." Then is the Epistle of John. It is not very long, it's 5 chapters. And it's pretty profound. John's primary message through the Gospel of John and through his epistle here, he emphasizes the deity of Christ. Christ, the Son of God. Christ, God himself. The forgiveness of our sins through faith in Jesus Christ. John 3:16, of course. And that's the Gospel of John is a great study. This epistle tells us about Jesus Christ and talks about love, our love from God, and God's love for us, and our love for one another. And I think it's well worthy of not just reading, but understanding what John says in this letter. It's important for us to understand how much God loves us, if we can understand such a thing. You see, God's love for us, the Greek word is agape. Unfortunately, the English language only has one word for love, and that is love. The Greek has several words for love. They talk about a brotherly love and a kind of a casual love, but agape love is the love that God has for us, and that's a love that has, it's an act of the will. There are no conditions. I'm going to love you not because of who you are, not because of what you've done, not because of what you will do for me, but I'm going to love you because I have decided to. And there's really nothing you can do about it. Whether you like it or not, I love you. This is God's love for us. You see, God didn't love us because of who we are. He loves us because of who he is. He wants us to love him in return, but it's not conditional. God's love is not conditional. And don't be confused, his forgiveness is conditional. Forgiveness of our sin is based upon our acceptance of Jesus Christ's payment for our sin. But God's love is not conditional. He loves us no matter what, which is kind of hard for us to understand. Jesus said that we should love one another. "This command I give to you," he said, "that you love one another." Well, sometimes that's hard for us to do too. And we have to understand that kind of love. He's not talking about an emotional love. He's talking about a spiritual kind of love, an acceptance, a care for people, our concern about their salvation, about their relationship with God. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. When Jesus said that, the man he said it to said, "Well, who's my neighbor?" And that's where the parable of the Good Samaritan comes along. We get caught up in we're not going to love somebody that doesn't love us back. Our love is conditional. We get mad at people. We decide to not talk to them anymore or whatever. But we need to learn and practice what God has commanded us to do. That is to love one another. He tells us to love our enemies. And see, that's contrary to everything that we as human beings know and think. You can't love our enemy, but we can and we should and we do through the power of God's Spirit in us. Someone asked me one time if there's anybody they didn't have to love. And I said, if you can find somebody that God doesn't love, you don't have to love them either. Now, this does not mean that we love what they do. It does not mean that we approve of everything that they do or their lifestyle or any of that. And I think if you study this book of John, you'll come to understand a little better what this love is talking about, and it will relieve you of a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. I think sometimes, we get angry at people, and if we're not careful, hatred builds up, and that's detrimental to our good health, actually. And it's not something God would have us to do. So let me. It's an easy read, really. I have a King James Bible. If you have problems with the these and thous and believeth and those words, you might try a New King James, but be careful of so many of the new translations. The Living Bible, for instance, is a paraphrase, and it's easy to read, but it's not a good study Bible. At any rate, whatever Bible you use, you might read a day, read a chapter. First chapter has 29 verses, and it won't take you very long to read it. The first chapter only has 9 verses. You can read that in a second or two. Second has 29 verses. You can probably read that in a couple of minutes too. And then go back and ask yourself, well, what does that even mean? In the first chapter, verse 5 says, this is a message we heard from him, and we declare unto you that God is light. In him is no darkness at all. What does that mean? That God is light. God is pure. God's Spirit is pure. There's no sin. There's nothing that is not pure. There's no darkness, if you will. No shadow of turning, the psalmist says. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. We cannot have fellowship with God and walk in darkness, which in this case is ignorance, or unwillingness to learn or grow or accept that fellowship. So go back and read and ask yourself these questions. You may find yourself in need of a commentary or just some help from another Christian, somebody who can help you study. I will help you as much as I can, but it's difficult to help individuals, on the internet, but I'll try if necessary. If you want me to explain a particular verse, send me an email or a comment, and I'll try to do that. But you can do this whole thing, and I'm going to recommend, maybe it'll take you a month. Maybe it'll take you a week. I don't think you can do it in a day. Not if you study it. You can read it in a day. You can read it in probably less than an hour, which might not be a bad thing, but study it. Understand what it means. Understand what it says. It began in verse 15. He talked about love the Father, don't love the world. In chapter 2, he talks about let that therefore abide in you which you have heard from the beginning. If that which you have heard from the beginning shall remain in you, ye also shall continue in the Son and in the Father. Well, if you want to know, I always thought this word therefore, you need to say, what's it there for? You need to understand what went before that. When he says abide in you, that means to live in. It's not abide is not coming and going. It's a permanent dwelling, if you will. You abide in your skin. You live in your house, but you abide in your skin. So that which you've heard from the beginning. What have you heard from the beginning? That God loves you, that Jesus died for your sin. You know, you need to answer those questions. You need to grow in your understanding of God and God's love for you and God's forgiveness and God's mercy and God's grace. We may talk a little bit about grace in a day or two. It's a good buzzword for Christians, but to understand what grace is a wonderful thing. We're saved by grace, the Bible tells us. It's a gift of God. So that's my challenge to you. Read and study 1 John. I love you. God loves you.